It's the weekend again, and here on Newzroom Africa, it only means one thing. It's sport on time, and we take you on a sporting journey like no other as we bring you a bird's eye view of the news-making headlines, as well as bring you closer to those that you ordinarily would have seen from just afar with in-depth interviews. And the next hour is going to be done exactly that way. Good afternoon, Africa. My name is Benjamin Leshoro, and we're coming to you live from our studios in Linden, Johannesburg, and it's going to be a great show this afternoon. We've got Ravele, who's been in everything with regards to sports, and I mean it. I'll tell you exactly the things that she's done. She's a woman in sport who's doing great things, and she's already here in studio to be chatting to us about what exactly she's doing at this particular point in time. And then a little bit later, we're going to be chatting to the CEO of Cricket South Africa, Mr. Thabang Moure. He's also already here in studio. There's been a major shake-up in Cricket South Africa in the Proteas, and we're looking forward to the India tour, the test series that will be happening there, as well as the shorter formats of the game. Thank you so much for being with us. And then a little bit later in the show, also, Christian Jokwana, remember him? He's a freestyler in as far as football is concerned. We find out what he's doing, what he's up to, and maybe I can juggle the ball for a few minutes. The last time I tried something like that, I tried skipping rope. It didn't quite work out. We'll see whether this time it'll be in my favor. Thank you so much for your time. And we start, of course, with news-making headlines, as we always do here on Sport On. But remember, before we go there, you can talk to us on Twitter. It is hashtag SportOn405. Start asking your questions to Ravele, as well as the CEO of Cricket South Africa, Mr. Thabang Moure. But let's start with tennis news. Roger Federer says the continued resurgence of Novak Djokovic, Rafael Nadal and himself is good for the game of tennis. Speaking ahead of the US Open, the Swiss maestro was open about the dominance of Serbian Djokovic.
I don't think it's a problem per se. I think now that Novak, Rafa and me are healthy again, Andy also slowly coming back again, it's just made it much harder for young guys to come through, but they are definitely knocking on the door big time now. So I think that's a very encouraging for those who want to see somebody else win. But I think also just Novak's domination or Rafa's domination is also not normal. We are in entertainment as well, and the crowds played big money to be part of this match, and I was part of the main show with Novak, and we put up a great fight, and somebody had to win. Novak was the better man on the day. It was tough, but I don't know. I've been there before, I've had some tough losses along the way, and so many great wins as well.
It's amazing that at his age, Roger Federer can still keep going. Of course, right now he is the 20-time Grand Slam champion. That is the most. It's a record in the Open era. And of course, his fans will be looking to the US Open to perhaps get that 21st. Remember, Rafa Nadal is not too far back. Just two shy of Roger Federer these days. Now, linear world heavyweight champion Tyson Fury says that he can't look past Sweden's Otto Wallin, even if his next fight is the anticipated rematch with Deontay Wilder. The undefeated Wallin is a 6'5" southpaw who's undefeated in 20 fights.
You've got to take every opponent as a dangerous one. Especially unbeaten opponents who's 6'6" and southpaws and unbeaten in 20 fights, ranked number 4 in the world, this guy. He knows that a victory over me could open up his dreams, his dream box, and those dreams could become reality with one win. And nothing's impossible in life if you believe it and if you want it enough.
I know the fight that everyone in boxing would love to see, or every fan of boxing. It's Deontay Wilder in Las Vegas up against Anthony Joshua. It's been promised a couple of times in the past. We'll see if it happens. They both have a lot to say when they're doing the trash talk before their fights, but we'll see whether that fight will come in the near future. Now, sad news. Former alpine ski racer and Olympic gold medalist Egon Zimmermann has died at the age of 80. Zimmermann, born in the town of Lech in Austria, won the downhill gold medal at the 1964 Winter Olympics in Innsbruck. Zimmermann belonged to the Alberg Ski Club and was considered more of an all-rounder winning the World Cup gold medal in giant slalom during the 1962 competition. He took gold at the Olympics 2 years later. Now, the International Hockey Federation has banned Russian national team player and national team player rather. Let's do that again. The International Hockey Federation has banned Russian national team player Evgeny Kuznetsov for 4 years after he tested positive for cocaine. Imagine that. Kuznetsov plays for the Washington Capitals in North America's National Hockey League. A video allegedly showing Kuznetsov sitting next to unidentified lines of white powder was posted online in May. It was not immediately clear whether his positive doping test and the episode are linked. To date, Capitals have avoided commenting, while the Russian Hockey Federation has stated that it opposes the use of banned substances. Kuznetsov scored 21 goals and had 51 assists last season. He won the Stanley Cup with the Capitals in 2018. His ban will run until June 2023. There's something definitely going on in Russia because was it before the last Olympics or something? Yes, in 2015, the entire Olympic team was banned from competing at the Rio Olympic Games because of what they termed state-sponsored doping in the country. And only recently, some of those athletes were allowed to perform in internationally recognized games. But definitely something to keep looking at, that Russia has a doping problem. I don't know why they keep allowing them back. Anyway, in news from the All Africa Games, swimmers Douglas Erasmus, Bradley Tandy, Emma Chelius and Aaron Gallagher have won their heats in both men's 50 and women's 50-meter freestyle. South Africa's swimming team building on Kaylin Corbett's success after she claimed her third gold at the Games, taking gold in the women's 200-meter breaststroke. Corbett led from start to finish in just over 2 minutes and 29 seconds. The result means she has produced a clean sweep of the breaststroke golds in the 50, 100 and 200 meters. All right, looking at what has been happening at the All Africa Games. Remember, they are held in Morocco, in Casablanca, as well as Rabat. And let's go to the medals table as things stand now and look at what is happening in as far as the standings are concerned. Egypt leading the way there with 66 in total, 21 gold medals. And South Africa not doing too bad at all with 17 gold medals and 37 in total. It's amazing that host country Morocco is just at number 4 and the only country from West Africa, one of those heavyweights when it comes to sports in West Africa, is Ivory Coast and comes only at number 6 with 10 medals in total. Southern Africa has representation again in the form of Namibia with 2 gold medals and 4 in total, and Mauritius closes out the top 10 with 1 gold medal, 7 in total. So we'll keep looking at Team South Africa there. Remember, Amajita, the national under-20, unfortunately were knocked out of those games and are back in South Africa this afternoon. In fact, landing at OR Tambo at just about 5:30 this evening. So we'll be looking to get Helman Kalele in studio in the coming weeks to chat to him about his excursion in North Africa and hear what the plans going forward are. Now, there's a game, well, the English Premier League has also been going on, starting last night already, and Chelsea was a bit under pressure to win their first game under new manager Frank Lampard. I say new because he's the new manager, but not new at Chelsea. But they finally clinched their first win under Frank Lampard, a 3-2 win at Norwich City. So let's take a look at what you've had to say, and as far as Chelsea is concerned on social media. And Ade Farati says, Lampard is seriously tempting me to go back to Chelsea FC. Really not going to be about results. I just like the manager. Mount, Tammy, Pedro, and the boys. Obviously talking about the young boys also there that Frank Lampard has brought in as the new manager. Tammy Abraham as well as Mason Mount. Houdini says, yes, Chelsea. First 3 points of the season in the bag. And of course, a huge sigh of relief there for Frank Lampard. And as you can imagine, for the multitudes of the Blues fans. And Kaka says, I wonder if he knows football like Kaka. He says, I'm now relieved. Getting our first win. And Frank Lampard's first ever win in EPL is my joy as a fan. Hashtag Norwich City Chelsea. And obviously happy that Lampard has gotten his first win under the belt. And this one says, that was a tight call. Tammy Abraham needed those goals to restore the confidence back. It was a tight call, 3 points in the bag. Mason Mount has it all. Is going to bag more. Defense still in tears. Remember, Mason Mount also found the back of the net in their previous game. Unfortunately, they played to a 1-1 draw at Stamford Bridge in that game. And Lampard just insisting that it's not about the wins at this particular moment. It's the fact that we're continuing to play good football and the goals and the wins will come. And this one from Maud says, Kovacic, arguably our best player today, such a reliable player. If either of Jorginho and Kante cannot play. So obviously pointing out the depth that Frank Lampard can point out to at any particular time. But N'Golo Kante will be a hard one to replace in the midfield there. That's all of our tweets and what we have for you. And as far as the EPL is concerned, we'll keep an eye for you. And a little bit later, we'll tell you some of the scores with the games that are coming up in just a short while. So we're going to continue with the show. Remember, you can talk to us, hashtag SportOn405, and ask questions with the guests that are coming into studio. I've already told you, but if you've just joined us now, Ntambi Ravele is in studio, Tabang Mure is in studio, Christine Jokwana is also going to be joining us here on Sport On 405, and we're going to be having lots of fun the sporting way. Stay with us. Ntambi Ravele comes back after this. Thank you so much for staying with us here on Sport On 405. Remember, you can catch us on Twitter. It is hashtag Sport On 405 and follow us at Sport On 405 for daily updates in as far as what is happening with news making headline in the world of sport. Now, I'm joined in studio now by a phenomenal woman who is and has and will continue to do great things in sport. Me Muditambi Ravele. You know, my producer is a native Venda speaker, so
yeah,
she has been training me to say
Muditambi
properly.
Yeah.
I hope I'll get it right someday. Masar.
Masara Vodi.
Barmin. Nakakad. I'm looking at your profile.
Yeah.
I'm looking at all the things that you've done.
Yeah.
And the amazing thing is that you just told me, and earlier also, you said to me, no, but I sent the short one.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at Ntambi Ravele. I don't know where to start. You are a groundbreaking... Okay. Some of them include on the board of the national and international sports, including Sports Institute of South Africa, Laureus Sport for Good South Africa, Gauteng Tourism, Brand South Africa, Women Sports International, and International Netball Federation. You're a founder member of Africa Women's Sport Network, and right now you're busy with the women and sport in South Africa. And you're busy with Wheelchair Tennis South Africa. You've been at the PSL. You've been with Boxing South Africa. And those are, actually, the last two are the ones I knew.
Yeah, yeah. You didn't know about the others.
Okay, and there's a lot that I didn't...
There's the one that you didn't mention, the Netball South Africa.
Like, there's a lot. There's a lot I didn't mention. Okay.
Okay.
Where do we even begin with your journey in sport? How does this even begin?
You know what? It began at a very early age in my life when I was at primary school. one day our teacher who was in charge of sport, he decided that he would want to run with the boys, road running.
Yes.
And he decided that he doesn't want to take girls with. And he was not saying it out of discriminating against girls. It was because of safety.
Yeah.
Because when you run road running, I mean, some of them are in front, in the middle, or at the back. So he was worried about the girls then. And that time, it dawned on me that at primary school and higher primary school, there were no female teachers doing sports. And I wanted to be a teacher one day.
Just to get into sport.
That's it. And I did that. I followed my career. And I didn't know then that there was physical education as a teacher.
Yeah.
So as I move on with my high school, I discovered that you can actually be a physical education teacher. So I followed that career. I became a physical education teacher. And today I have all this experience in sports.
Okay, so, and then do you go to tertiary and say, I want to specifically get into sport and administration and all of that?
Not actually, because I went to teach, and part of my responsibility was physical education teaching. And then from there, I moved to the Department of Sports and Recreation National. I went to Technikon Pretoria. Then I was starting to specializing on anything in sports, but it should include sports, what I'm doing. So I had already done a PR course, I've done a marketing course, but actually focusing on sports. So when I moved to Technikon, I went there to be head of marketing and sponsorship within the Technikon, which now changed to UT.
Yeah.
I moved out of there, I moved to PSL because I have already specialized on marketing. And then I went there as a head of marketing. And
Were you a pioneer there? Were you someone that, if not the first one of the first ones to hold that position?
It was. Actually, when I was at the department, there were no female black women in top middle management and top management. Yes. And I was the first one to be employed in that position. But later on, there were a lot of us. So when I moved to Technikon also again, I was the first one in the department. So when I moved to PSL, they'd never employed a woman in that position, or actually in management. And I was actually the first woman to be in that position.
And then from that position, that is when you moved to boxing?
From that,
or was there a detour or something?
Well, before that, I was then, in 1999, there were problems in netball South Africa. When the department then asked me to go to netball and try to transform netball, which I did that very well. By the time I left netball, netball had a representation of 50-50, whilst it came from a situation where you would have one player or even not a black player in the team. And there were a lot of, I mean, all of the assistant coaches were black, and a lot of officials were coming up into management. When I moved out of PSL, I decided
and it's funny you say that, because the EPG report that we saw the past couple of months showed that netball is one of the top 5 sporting codes in the country that actually have met the transformation targets. But it looked like a new thing. But judging from what you're saying, you worked on that from a long time ago.
No, we did that long ago. Actually, after I left, they went a little bit down and then picked up again. But I think now they are doing quite well. Yeah. When I moved out of PSL, yes. I then decided to form a Women in Sport Foundation,
yes.
which actually is a structure that I suggested to the department when I joined them, to say there's a need for us to focus on women and sport. And by the then minister, Steve Tshwete, allowed us to do that structure, and he was saying to us, I want this structure to report directly to me in order for me to monitor how far we are going with women empowerment. And it did so well during his term. But the problem with such issues is the fact that it depends on the type of the minister who comes in. So the next minister who came out thereafter, he was not interested in women empowerment. And then he cancelled the project.
Ngonde? Was it Ngonde? Was it Ntate Ngonde Balfour?
It was Ngonde Balfour. So he wasn't interested in women in sport, and he cancelled the project. So I decided then, when I moved out of PSL, to say, you know what, I must start an organization now from an NGO side to make sure that whether the politician come in and out, it's not affected. We will actually empower women. And we started that in 2008. Actually, the nice thing is by then, Tate Stofile was the minister. He supported the project when we started. Actually, he was hands-on on the process. And that project now, it's 10 years this year. It's doing quite well. We are looking at issues of women advocacy, research, mentorship, training new leaders, because it's not about me. I think it's about more other girls that are coming up, because that was my mission when I came into sport, to say, I want to be a woman who would empower other women. So I'm doing that even now to make sure that other women are empowered. So as from next year, we will be running a course with our partner from UK, and training women, because they specialize in that. They specialize in training women leadership in sports. So they will be coming over to train possibly from between 25 and 36 women on leadership.
All the changes and I don't want to call him scapegoat, but the first line of fire was Coach Otis Gibson.
Yeah, unfortunately, Otis was the man in charge, so to speak, and we felt that a change was needed at the helm, some fresh thinking, and we needed to draw up a strategy in terms of what our approach is going to be in terms of the World Cup that's coming up in 2023, that will be in India, and essentially, World Cup in 2027, which we working, hard on as far as the administration of the game is concerned. So, unfortunately, Otis and his support staff were the guys that, suffered the blows, if I may put it that way, in terms of us now wanting to enforce changes in the system.
How was your relationship with him when he left?
I think I'd say professional. One would like to think that it could have been slightly better. We didn't get things, to be exactly where we wanted them to be. But one would describe the relationship as professional more than anything else.
Okay, so the reported tensions between you and the coach, is there any degree of truth to that?
Not really. I think there were a few things that the coach was not at the time happy with. So there was a policy that the board had discussed in terms of me having veto in terms of team selection. So it didn't mean that I would get involved in selecting the team, but it just basically meant that I would sign off the team that would be selected to get on the field. And the reason why was that the board wanted to hold somebody accountable in terms of us being able to achieve our EPG targets. And, as the chief executive of the organization, I was identified as the person that would need to be held accountable as far as ensuring that, the selectors, reached these targets. But obviously, this was a policy that at board level was decided to be put on ice. So one could say that's essentially where the tension was. But I was never going to get involved with team selection. Going forward, I will never get involved with team selection. That's something that I really don't want to be, sitting with as far as my desk is concerned. I've got a lot on my plate as it is.
Speaking of going forward, Enoch Nkwe comes in now, and the 12 of India is coming in the near future. What's expected of him? Because he's there on an interim basis. He's not employed as yet as the team manager. He's the interim team manager. Is he on audition?
He probably is. I don't know. Once we've employed the director of cricket, he'll have a look at how Enoch has performed in India, and he will then tell us, or she will tell us, what their plans are as far as the structure of the team is concerned, and who they're looking to work with in terms of the plans that they would have, in terms of the style of play that they want to introduce in the national team. So you could say that he is on audition. It's a decent baptism of fire for him, given the fact that we've never really done well in India as far as the long formats of the game is concerned. So it's a great opportunity for him to essentially show us what he's capable of, and he's got all the support that he needs as far as the administration of CSA is concerned. So all the best to him.
But what would be the criteria then? Because looking at recent success, Enoch Nkwe would be head and shoulders above the rest. When you look at his success with the Lions, also in the Mzansi Super League.
Yeah, I think, before we put the cart ahead of the horse, one, as I said, would want to, first of all, make the announcement of the director of cricket. And I will sit with the director of cricket and get to listen to what their thinking is in terms of way forward, what they think about Enoch, after obviously his performances in India. And then we can take it from there. So I really don't want to preempt. The director of cricket could come thinking very differently in terms of how to move things forward. So one would want to see how Enoch fares in India first. And then once we've announced the director of cricket, then the director of cricket can essentially say what they think of Enoch, his performances, and what their plans are in terms of taking or moving South African cricket forward.
All right, Mzansi Super League, the
Yes, sir.
inaugural one last season. A lot of people did say that there were some disappointments in the tournament, but what's coming up this season? Is there some way to make it better that you guys have up your sleeve, and maybe some bigger names that we can expect?
Yeah, definitely. This is the second edition of the league. We have a bit more time than we did last year. Last year we only had 4 weeks to deliver this tournament, so naturally there were going to be glitches, in the early stages of the tournament, and it improved as time went. So this year we're definitely looking to improve the entire product. We want to have more bums on seats as far as spectators are concerned. There's, a bigger and better variety of international players. We have, I think, about 240 international players that have entered the draft for this year. So there's bigger names, so to speak. So the entertainment, we're looking to make it better. We're looking to improve the production. There's a lot of things that we've earmarked in terms of improving for this year's edition. And obviously there'll always be things that we work on a year-on-year basis, but we definitely want to get it better.
Obviously some distance away from the IPL and the Big Bash and all of those that already established for some time.
Yeah, correct. The November-December window is a window that we had created in terms of working on our fixture list and the FTP. So we felt that it's important that we stick to this window, at least, for the first couple editions of this tournament, and then we can then evaluate if this window is working for us or if we might need to move it to a different window. And, obviously with us placing bilateral cricket, which is international cricket, at the helm. So international cricket will take first priority, and then we'll then look at the league.
All right. Tabang Mure, we're flat out of time. Thank you so much for your time, and good luck with the Mzansi Super League. Good luck with the tour of India. As you know, Test cricket lovers would really love to get one over Virat Kohli and co. I think last time they were here, we actually beat them in the Test series. We actually have been doing well in Test cricket. Thank you so much for your time. And thank you so much to you at home for watching throughout the show. And thank you to Mentambi Ravere for gracing us with her presence. We'll be back tomorrow with Sport on 405. We take a short break. Busisiwe Gumede comes back.